What is going on, everybody? My name is Tim Williams. We're here today to break down today's 10-game MLB DraftKings slate. I'm sitting here, got my green juice going here, feeling pretty good about tonight's slate. We got a lot of bad weather going in this one, so that should be very interesting. So keep in mind that these picks and this breakdown, it's a little bit early. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Tim. I've been breaking down these slates pretty much daily here over on DraftKings. So without any further ado, let's just dive right into this one. We got the Brewers taking on the Phillies. Phillies favored it at home, 8.5 over under. There is some rain in this one, so keep an eye on that. You have Hauser taking on Velasquez. Hauser, no real interest in that price there. He's not a bad pitcher by any means, just maybe not a guy you'd want in your DFS lineup. Won't really get you that high ceiling. And then Velasquez has been, quite frankly, pretty terrible. One thing about the Brewers is they're not great as far as average and on base percentage goes. They've had a slew of injuries. We got some guys possibly coming back today. Perhaps Christian Yelich will be back. One thing to note about the Brewers, too, is, yes, they strike out a lot, but they know how to win games. They're actually first in the National League in as far as record goes. So I think that kind of says something, right? So Brewers against Phillies. Guys in play on the Brewers side, if Yelich is back, 4.6K, could be interesting in tournament plays, GPPs. Wong at 4.5, Vogelbach at 2.8K for that possible power upside. Shaw at 3.5. I think the list kind of goes on, but Brewers are kind of in play here. And then on the Philly side, there's not much I really like. Hauser, I think, is a pretty decent pitcher. Phillies are just kind of too expensive. I will say I am interested in Harper at 5.8K, but that's kind of about it. Next, we have the Dodgers taking on the Cubs. 8 over under. Dodgers favorited here. Rain and wind blowing out, which is pretty nice. I think the Dodgers end up being probably one of the most popular teams on this slate tonight. You have Buehler taking on Hendricks. I'm actually very interested in Buehler here, 9.6K, even though, yes, the wind's blowing out, but, Brewers do strike out, or Cubs do strike out, 5th overall so far in the majors. So Buehler, yes. Hendricks, something looks a little wrong with him, 6.5K. I know that price is really cheap. I'm just not interested in him going against the Dodgers here. Dodgers, obviously, you know what they can do on offense. Guys in play, and my favorite play would be Seager at 4.8K, Turner 4.9, Muncy 4.3, Smith 4.6, very cheap, very affordable, and you still can pay up to get some aces. And then on the Cubs side, not really interested in anybody. I guess if I needed a one-off, it would be Rizzo at 4.2K. Next, we have the Rangers taking on the Twins, 8 over under here. Twins favorited at home. You got Dunning taking on Maeda. Not really interested in Dunning here. Maeda, though, 7.8K. I think there's going to be a lot of interest for a lot of different reasons, right? You look at Maeda. We'll talk a little game theory here. Maeda, 7.8K. I think that's a very reasonable price going against a Rangers team who actually I think hits better than people think they do. They do strike out the most in the majors, though. So I have some slight interest in Maeda. I'm probably not going to go there. I think my interest goes on the Rangers side. Their bats are just way too cheap. Gallo, 3.5K. Yes, I know he strikes out maybe 45% of the time. Low at 3.8K, Calhoun at 3K, Dahl 2.9K, and that's just some of the cheap guys. I kind of interested in the Rangers lineup here. I know they're not favorited. But Maeda hasn't been all quite there. So I like the lefties a lot here. And then on the Twins side, they have a good offense, the 9th in home runs, 8th in average here, 13th in on-base percentage. They don't strike out a ton. They're just too freaking expensive. If I'm going here, I'm going value. Kepler 3.4K, and then Kirilloff at 2.9K. I think he's hit like 4 home runs in the last 3 games. So very cheap there. Will probably be a little chalky. Next, you have the Mets and the Cardinals. No over-under here. I guess there's some possible rain again. Lucchesi going against Wainwright. Zero interest in any of the pitching here. On the Mets side, they can hit for average. They can hit for on-base percentage. Their home runs haven't really been there yet. I think mainly it's just because they're playing in cold environments. So, guys, I'm interested in Alonso. If you're spending up at 5.3K, I think it's fine. And then Conforto at 3.8, Nimmo 3.6 is pretty good value. However, I think Wainwright's just one of those guys, too, where it's like I don't think people are going to dogpile him. So not a ton of interest in the bats. And then on the Cardinals side, Arenado at 4.7K, Goldschmidt's price is going up 5.1K, DeJong at 4.1. I love O'Neill at 2.8K. A lot of power upside there. I think Lucchese's okay, as far as pitching goes. The Cardinals are just really cheap. They're playing at home. I just favor them a little bit more as far as the bats go, and I don't know if they're going to be necessarily highly owned. So next, we have the Indians taking on the Royals, 8.5 over under. Indians favored here. Savale going against Lynch. Lynch called up one of their best pitching prospects at 4K. Not really interested in Savale. The Royals they have the best record in the AL currently right now, surprisingly. Just not a lot of upside. Not that I think the Royals are scary. They're just 27th in strikeouts overall. So I just don't think the upside is there, or at least it's just kind of capped. And then for the Royals, like, people are going to go to Lynch. I think Lynch is going to be a popular play. I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to pay 4K. I know it's really cheap to go to some kid who's going to pitch maybe 3 or 4 innings at best, making his debut against the Indians, albeit the 29th in average, 29th in on base percentage. But as far as game theory goes, I'm not going to go to Lynch. I will maybe have Jose Ramirez at 5.3K, who absolutely can just mash the ball. Luplow, 4.1K, very good against lefties. Ahmed Rosario at 4K, he's been kind of hot. At least might get to Ramirez as like a one-off. And then on the other side, the Royals are just kind of too pricey. They've been good. It's a tough matchup, so just not interested there. Next, we have the Giants and the Rockies. No clear favorite here. 10 over under. It's going to be raining. It's going to be chilly. The wind's going to be blowing in. This is going to be the most popular game because we are at Coors Field. You have Sanchez taking on Marquez. I think both pitchers are good, are fine. Not as far as DFS goes. I wouldn't roster them here, but with the rain and the weather and the wind blowing in, me personally, I think this game will go under as far as the 10 runs total. Giants have been pretty good. I like them better against left-handed pitching, but they are so cheap. I don't know if DraftKings forgot to price these guys up, but Belt at 3.4, Dickerson at 3.5, Crawford, Tauchman is flat minimum at 2K, and he's probably going to be hitting second today. Definitely have interest there. Just to kind of offset, like, you don't need to go to Daniel Lynch in your pitching position when you have guys hitting at Coors Field for 2K. And then on the Rocky side, Story, if he plays, I know he might have got hit by a pitch or something happened yesterday. McMahon at 5.1, Blackman 3.7. I think, positive regression is coming for him. And then Tapia at 4K, interesting there. I prefer the Rockies in this matchup for sure. It's just one of those things where it's like, this is going to be a very popular game. It's either going to win you or lose you. And if I'm playing GPPs, I'm probably just going to stay away from this game. If it was 70 degrees and the wind's blowing out, hell yeah. And I don't think the prices would be this cheap, but I think the weather kind of scares me a little bit in this one. Next, you have the Rays and the Angels, 7.5 over under. That being said, you have Glasnow and Ohtani. I have zero interest really in the bats here. Glasnow is probably one of the best pitchers on the slate. It's up to you if you want to, risk that going against the Angels, first in average, 10th in on-base percentage, 5th in home runs. They don't strike out a lot. I might just fade Glasnow, and that might be scary. And maybe I'll just go with Walker Buehler, who a little bit cheaper, taking on a team who actually does strike out a lot. And then on the Angels side, I actually have a lot of interest in Ohtani at 7.6K. I think he's pitched 13 innings so far. He's given up 13 walks, but he's strike out like 23 batters, 23, 26, something like that, which is ridiculous. He's not going to go very deep in this game, but he could get you 20 fantasy points for that cheap price. So I definitely am interested there. I mean, look at the Rays. They're not good as far as average or on-base percentage. They're definitely in the bottom half of the league in all those categories and home runs, third in strikeouts. They just don't have it all right now. So I'm kind of leaning Ohtani's way here. Next, you have the Blue Jays taking on the Orioles, 8.5 over under. Oakland favorited here at home. Matt's taking on Montas. And this is one of those situations where I think Matt's probably won't be too owned here. I wouldn't really go there. Oakland's kind of been on fire a little bit. 5th overall in home runs. That kind of, it scares me a little bit. Matt's a little too expensive. And then Oakland, Montas at 8-1, I think is going to interest a lot of people. I think I'm just going to stay away from this one. I'm not as big on Montas as others, especially in this matchup where he's taking on the Blue Jays, who are quite potentially, scary from top to bottom here. And they have a lot, they have Springer back now. He's a little pricey at 5.5. Guerrero, Bichette, I love those plays over 5K. Hernandez is back, 4.2K. I think they just have a lot of pieces in this lineup, and Montas isn't going to get there. So I'm definitely interested in the Blue Jays here, that, especially if Montas is going to garner some ownership. That way I get some leverage here. So love the Blue Jays. And then on Oakland side, I don't mind them either. Laureano, 5.2K. It's a little pricey. Canha at 4.9, 4.8. And then Chapman at 4.3 is actually kind of cheap. So I'm just kind of hoping for a home run there. I wouldn't probably go with a full stack here just because of price and other, spots in the slate. And then second to last game here, Pirates and Padres here. No clear over under here. Anderson taking on Lamet. Lamet coming off the IL again. A little too pricey, 9-1. Don't want to go there at all. Anderson, probably one of the worst pitchers on this slate, facing a really talented offense here. So I'm not interested in any Pirates bats, even though Lamet I just have no interest in. They're just a little too pricey too, and there's just better spots on the slate. And then on the Padres side, you have Tatis at 5.9, one of the best spend ups. Grisham 5.4, Machado 5K, Myers 5K. Yes, they're pricey, but I think they have one of the best matchups on the slate. And then next and final game, we have the Orioles and the Mariners. 8.5 over under here. Mariners are favorited at home. Kramer taking on Swanson and whoever else in that bullpen. I actually kind of favor the Orioles side here. I don't know how they're not favorited here. But Kramer, I think he's going to be somewhat popular for whatever reason. I'm just not as high on him as other people are. I don't think he goes deep enough into the ball game. And Mariners at times look like they can actually hit the ball well. The strikeouts are there, though, so I could see Kramer, he can throw strikeouts for sure. But guys in play on the Orioles side, I'd have to dig a little bit deeper. But Mancini and Mullins are the two guys that stand out the most to me, 4.8K, 4.3K. I like that a lot. Could be kind of your late night hammer. I don't think anyone's going to be owning the Baltimore Orioles tonight. And then on the Mariners side, you have to have some interest in Seager at 4.2, France at 3.9. Haniger at 3.7K is just way too cheap, especially if Kramer gets some interest there. I wouldn't mind 1 to 3 of these bats, but there's a lot of different ways you can go on this slate. There's a lot of different game scripts you can write in your head, whether it be Coors or any of these bad weather games. So keep an eye on weather and stuff like that tonight. I'm going to go ahead and finish this green smoothie. And best of luck to you. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you like DFS and MLB content. Take it easy and best of luck to you. Hopefully some variance will be on your side today.